Hey guys, it's Sarah Schneider with nourishlife.org. I just decided to hop on here and give you a little insight into my manifest story and talk about what happens when we're not seeing the results that we want. So I'm not a business coach. I'm not a manifesting coach. This isn't something that I do for a living, right? Let me turn this off real quick. Sorry, guys. I'm actually a nutritionist. I've got a degree in dietetics, but I'm talking about manifesting. And the reason that I'm talking about manifesting is because this is something that I have done before I even knew what the word manifesting was. Because honestly, I'll be really honest with you guys. I didn't hear this word manifest until just several years ago. And I never really understood, I never really liked that word. And I know that this is like the group for that, but I didn't like that word manifest because it feels like when you say it, it's just supposed to like come out of thin air, right? Like it just gets dropped and then, and you don't do anything to achieve it. It just happens. And that's, I think, a little bit deceiving, right? Because when you are somebody who knows how to manifest, when you are somebody who knows what it takes to manifest something, to create something, to bring about something, you know that it's not as easy as just like, oh, it'd be really nice if this happened, right? It doesn't work that way. So my manifest story started when I was really little, actually. I had this idea, I had this feeling that I knew that if I said something, if I thought something very, very, not hard, but if I thought something, intensely, and I thought about it often, then it would come about. Like it just kind of happened. And I knew my thoughts were pretty powerful. And my mom used to always say, be careful what you wish for, be careful what you ask for, be careful what you think about, right? And I always wondered why she said that. But the reason is because I could actually create things for myself with just really thinking intently. But there's this hook, right? Because we all assume that if we just think about it, or if, there's a lot of journalers out there, and I've got a nutrition practice, and I have my clients do head and heart work, and they journal, and I appreciate good journaling. But there's this concept, this idea that if we just put it on a piece of paper, or we just think about it, then all of a sudden it'll happen. And it doesn't. And it gets so freaking frustrating because we feel like we're doing everything right, but nothing is working. And you come on here, right? Especially you get on here and you see these people and they say, I thought about $50,000 and I got it. And you're like, what the, right? See, I'm a mom of 4, so I know how to censor myself. But you're like, seriously, like, what the happened? I'm doing everything that they tell me to do, and it's not working. And it wasn't until I was trying to think to myself, like, what's the deal? Because when I'm working in my nutrition practice about manifesting, I'm really helping people manifest this healthy life that they want. I'm helping them manifest their ability to, show up every morning and do whatever they need to do to see results, right? But this morning I was thinking about it, and there is a difference between, go with me on this, guys. There is a difference between wanting it and knowing it, right? And that's the gap, right? That's the gap between wanting it and knowing it is also the gap between not getting it and achieving it. So there's this gap, right? If you want it, and then you can create it, or you want it, you get it. But there's also this gap between the results you want and then the results that you actually get, right? And that's the difference. It's knowing, and that's the hard part. So just to be like ridiculously personal with you guys, one of the things that I always grew up knowing about myself was that I came from a family that was highly fertile, right? Like we were just it was very easy to get pregnant. It was one of those things where you had to be really careful not to get pregnant, kind of thing, right? That was always the messages that I received as a kid. It was always this idea that, like, be careful, like, you get pregnant really easily. And everybody in my family just did. It was this idea that we had. But here's the thing, we all have these messages of what's really easy for us, right? And that message carried through. And it was something that I never really considered. Like, all these people were always really worried about, getting pregnant and all this kind of stuff. And if this is a big trigger for you, I apologize. But getting pregnant for you and everything, and I never really had that fear or concern, because I always knew, like, in my heart of hearts, I always knew I was just one of those people that was meant to have lots of babies, right? And now my husband and I have 4. So it's one of these things for myself that I just always knew. And even when I questioned myself a little bit, like, you're like, I don't know, like, maybe we should, like, try, because, like, some people can't. I always thought it, like, I'll do that. I'll go through all the steps and the measures, but it doesn't really matter, because I know it's going to happen, right? And it was in the shower this morning that I was thinking about that moment. It's like, that's it. That's the key to manifesting results, right? There's a difference between manifesting or thinking or wanting or journaling this idea that you think is impossible, and, like, thinking maybe it'll work. Maybe it'll work, right? Versus knowing with every part of you. And so the thing I was thinking about today, I'm going to keep this kind of short, but the thing that I was thinking about today is figure out that thing. Like, figure out that thing that you do. Figure out the thing that comes really easy to you. So whether, like, my 8-year-old, she's super intelligent, right? School comes so easy to her. She doesn't really have to try. She doesn't really have to study. She's in GT classes. It's just really easy to her, right? Athleticism is not her thing. She's just not as quick to catch on to, like, the cartwheels and the gymnastics and all that she takes. She loves it, but it's not her thing, right? So that's what I was kind of thinking this morning. Think about that thing that you're really good at, that it just comes really naturally to you, and, like, journal about how you just know, how you just have this thing inside of you that you can't explain, but it's just easy, and it's going to happen, and that no matter what, it's just a part of you. It's just a part of your being, right? And when you journal about it, feelings bubble up, and you get this idea. You're like, oh my God, yeah, like, that's my thing. And that's the difference between knowing that you're really, good at something, knowing that you can have it, knowing that it's going to be easy for you to have it, versus putting something on a piece of paper that you want, but you're not quite sure you're all in for, right? You're like, so I really, I need to manifest $50,000 for that house. Okay. And you're on there, and it's like almost laborious, right? You're like, okay, I'm going to manifest that $50,000 for this house. And yes, okay, by January 1st. But you don't really believe it. You're hoping for the best, right? You're absolutely hoping for the best, but you're not 100% invested in knowing that no matter a shadow of a doubt, this always happens for me, right? And that's the difference. Like, even for myself, like I said, I've got a nutrition practice. I help my clients manifest healthy lives, right? That's kind of my thing. Well, among the whole, like, nutrition part of it too, but that's part of it, right? It's part of my program. But it's also this idea that, like, this extends far beyond that, right? For myself, like, this is something that I still have to work on. It's something that I still have to work at. And that's why when I was sitting there or standing there in the shower this morning, I was thinking, this is it. This is what I was lacking in my own manifesting journey, in my own creation journey, right? My life by design. This is what I was lacking. I was lacking that ability to be able to put on a piece of paper something that I want and know without a shadow of a doubt that it's going to happen. And I think that what it's going to take, and this is what I kind of work on in my own practice, is like really rewiring the brain, because I'm a super sciencey person. Which is kind of funny when you couple it with this whole, like, trusting and faith and manifesting thing. But I'm a super sciencey person, and it's this idea that we have to almost rewire the brain, rewire the messages. So, like, whatever you thought was super difficult or super hard or super challenging, it's rewiring your brain to start thinking completely differently. And that's hard. Like, for all these people that just say, I just manifested $50,000 and it was super easy, that's bullshit. like, I don't even know if I can swear on this thing, but it's BS, because it doesn't work that easily, right? It's not something that you can just wake up one morning and just say like, oh, I think I'm going to manifest some stuff, right? And some people will say it is. I'm not in that camp. I don't think that it's that easy. I think that there is some wiring that has to happen, some rewiring that has to happen in your brain, so that you can release some of those limiting beliefs, and then rewire in some messaging that really serves you, so that you can do this. And like I said, I'm not the master manifester, right? Have I manifested some amazing things in my life? Heck yeah. But I'm not the master in this. Like, my thing is nutrition. The only reason I get on here is because it is a part of my life, and it is important. And your thoughts will direct your life, right? What you think, you bring about. One of my good friends, her name is Sarah Dennis Schroeder. It's almost comical, right? Her name is so close to mine, and she's got blonde hair, and she's about 20 years older than me, and she is absolutely hilarious. She's on here too. She does space readings. She's a dream life coach. She does a whole kinds of manifesting, and what she always says is, what you think about, you bring about. And it's so true. But there's like another little element there. It's not just thinking about it, it's knowing it. It's knowing that it will happen, and that it's easy for it to happen for you. So if you're just now hopping on, you can watch the replay. Or the thing that I think that will work the best is if you actually journal around something that is super easy and super natural to you, something that comes easy without any effort, right? Journal around something like that that's in your life. Like I was saying, my 8-year-old, she's extremely intelligent. She's a GT kid. School comes so easy for her. And we've had to talk about this kind of stuff, because athleticism is not her thing, right? It's not something that comes as easy for her. And so it's about bubbling up, or like figuring out all of those emotions and feelings that bubble up inside of you when something feels easy, and then almost like pulling them all together, and then taking that, like bottling them up, and then taking that and putting it into whatever, like those same feelings, into what it is that you want to manifest. Does that make sense, guys? Am I absolutely crazy? You guys can tell me I'm crazy. My kids tell me I'm crazy all the time. They think I'm like a weirdo. But it's this idea that you have to take those same feelings, the same ease, and the same like knowing, right? The same trust, the same faith, from something that comes easy to you, and channeling that, bottling it up, and then putting it into whatever it is that you want to manifest with that same feeling, the same intention, the same ease. You're not crazy. Thank you, Lee, for telling me I'm not crazy. That's so nice when someone tells you that. Because yesterday I did this whole thing on my group about hormones, and how they like will literally make you feel like you're crazy in your head if they're imbalanced. And I literally say, you're not crazy. You just have a hormone imbalance. So thank you for letting me know I'm not crazy. I just thought it was really funny, because I literally just said those words yesterday, like, you're not crazy. But it had everything to do with hormones and not manifesting. So anyways, I'm spot on. Thanks, Lee. Like I said, I'm not a manifesting guru. Like, I'm not a business coach. I'm not a manifesting coach. I don't even know if they have those. I have a good friend. She does dream life coaching, which is kind of the same thing, right? It's all about creating your dream life and all that, life by design. I'm a nutritionist, but what I do know is that manifesting, it doesn't matter what it is that you want. It's the same formula, and that's my thing, right? So I'm a big sciencey person, and I take high-level scientific literature and I distill it down into usable nuggets where people can actually do things with that information, right? And so my goal in life is to create easy formulas for people. I had the best time teaching my 8-year-old Excel last night, and how you can put formulas in there. And I left her room and thinking you were the biggest nerd ever, right, Sarah? So, like I said, it's this idea that it's a formula. It doesn't matter what you're manifesting, whether you're manifesting the body of your dreams, manifesting a healthy, life like my clients do, or if you're manifesting $20,000 for a down payment on a house, the formula is the same. And I really do think that there's something to this about knowing that it's 100% possible, but it's more than just knowing, because you have to be able to feel it, right? So you take all of that good feels, all those good feels that you have about something that is easy, something that does come really naturally to you, something that's not hard at all, something that just happens, like you just know it always happens, and then take all that good positive energy and feed it into what you're manifesting, right? And every time you feel like that little negative thought gremlin of doubt, like literally, this is what I tell people, because negative thought gremlins are a big thing, especially if you are on a health journey, right? So it's like a big thing. So I call them negative thought gremlins. Basically, I'm always like, you need to tell them to stop, like literally say in your brain, stop, and then say what you want, right? And so I think it's that easy, guys. I think it's that easy of telling them like, stop. No, this is easy. And remembering those same feelings from something that does come easy that you've never questioned in your life, and putting those same feelings into that comeback. I don't know how to say that comeback for those negative thought grounds. Be like, no, it is that easy. It's super easy for that, and it's super easy for this, right? It's super easy. It's going to happen. It always happens. And that's one of those things that I think is something that you could really, like, I'm in Texas, so the first thing I think of is like, this is something you can hang your hat on. But it's something that you can hang your hat on. This is something that I think really would help you get to that point, because there's this gap, right, of wanting it, really wanting it, but not believing that you can have it, and then like knowing and having it right there. And that's the gap. And that's what everybody gets so frustrated about, is because you want it, you really do want it, but there's that little like inkling of doubt. And that little inkling of doubt, I honestly, I think that's where it all falls apart. And that's the difference between manifesting and then like without results and manifesting with results. I really think so. So anyways, I don't know all the answers to this manifesting stuff. I know that I've manifested a lot of amazing things in my life. And I think it all comes down to knowing. If you watch one of my older videos, a couple days ago I did a video on here on Manifestation Babes all about visualizing. So if something isn't working for you, try something else. Like, I'm all into experiments, especially like in my nutrition practice. You have to figure out what works for you. So I always say this in my nutrition practice, but there's 80 million variances of the genome, the human genome, right? So that means that like not the same, practices aren't going to work for everybody. So there's these big formulas, these universal formulas, but you have to figure out what works best for you within that formula, right? You have to figure out what resonates with you, what raises your vibration within you. You can't just say like, oh, journaling worked for you. Okay, let me do this whole journal thing. Yeah, you could try it, but if it doesn't work, it's not that it doesn't work. You have to try something else. Like maybe you're a visualizer. Maybe you're one of those people that have to daydream. That's me, right? I have to daydream. I have to like see it, live it, speak it. I have to like look at myself in the mirror and talk to myself and be completely weird and irrational and crazy, but that's how it works for me. So if it's not working for you, figure out something that is. Figure out a different way to do it. Okay, so this is another one. Always reverse engineer. So if you have been able to manifest something in the past, reverse engineer. Figure out, what did you do? What worked, right? I mean, maybe it's that simple of going back and be like, this one time when I was a kid, I remember wanting to stay home from school and pretending that I was sick, because I did this, right? I remember wanting to stay home and I was pretending that I was sick. I pretended that I had the flu. Hello, an hour later, I got it. Like, I'm not even kidding you. I was perfectly well, running around like a crazy person, and all of a sudden I was so sick I couldn't get out of bed, and it was because I wanted it. I wanted it so bad because I didn't want to go to school, right? So like, reverse engineer. If you've ever been able to figure it out, even if it's something that's not positive like that, reverse engineer. Figure out how you did it previously, and then see if you can't, do those same steps again. Like, it's kind of like it's a formula, it's a stamp, right? If it happened once, it can happen again. It's not a fluke. It's not an anomaly. It's not just something that happened one time and you're only allowed one in your lifetime. It's not. It doesn't work like that, right? So that's always another option, like reverse engineer, figure out what worked last time. So recap, two things. The very first thing is, when you know something, because I know like a bunch of you guys hopped on, and you guys can watch the replay, but if you know something, like, know it in your heart, know it more than like anything. Like, this is something that's really easy for you, something that it's just a part of you, it's just something that comes naturally to you. Think about how you feel. Like, journal how you feel. Let those feelings bubble up inside of you, and feel that presence of amazing energy, and like the ease, and all of that goodness, right? And this is always one of those things. Like, if you're like, well, I don't even know what you're talking about. You know that thing where you're like, really, you just know it's going to happen and you're really good at it, but you always like pretend you may not, but then it always does happen. Tara, yeah, you're right. I always journal, but I don't think it's my thing that really helps me manifest. You know what, Tara? It may not be. So like, I'm a big journaler to get my feelings out. It's something that I do in my nutrition practice with my folks, to get all your feelings out, right? To understand where some of those root causes lie, because that's some of the work that I do, not just in like physical symptoms, but also like head and heart work and all that kind of stuff. I always say journal, journal, journal until you can get to your why. And there's like a process for that. But it's true. Manifesting is different. So if journaling doesn't work for you, if it's just like, I've been doing it for a while and it's just not my thing, try something else. Like, visualizing is a great one. Daydreaming is a great one. Speaking it out loud is a great one. Maybe you're one of those people that have to hear it. I don't know. But it may not be your thing. Maybe it's meditation is your thing. Like, meditation is really big for me. Laying down and just listening to some nice music and thinking and visualizing is my thing. So maybe that's your thing too, Tara. But it's really, and I got on here earlier, you can watch the replay, but one of the things, and this may be a huge trigger for some people, so I apologize, but one of the things that I grew up with this message of, I had always knew that in my family that like everybody was very fertile, right? Like, that was a thing in my family. Everybody would tell me, like, our family, you have to be really careful because you can get pregnant really easily and all this kind of stuff. It was a message I always received. And I always had to be careful because, I could get pregnant really easily. Like, everybody would tell me this. And it was truth. Like, in my family, everybody did. And I did, like, instantly, right? But I remember when I thought, oh, I, want to get pregnant with my daughter, like, I should start trying, because I hear all these people and they have all these challenges and struggles. And so I had this little like pretend doubt, right? But I always knew in my heart of hearts, like, it was going to happen. And it's because all of this messaging told me it was going to be easy for me, right? My whole life I was told it was going to be easy, and I knew it would be easy for me. I never doubted it, even if I pretend to doubt it. So that's the example I'm giving. That's the kind of thing that you have to really figure out. Like, what's one of those messages that you received that you knew something was just really easy for you? It always came easy for you. You never had to really doubt it. And when you did doubt it, it felt almost like a fake doubt, right? Because you just know it's so easy. That's the part I'm talking about. Find that thing, journal around it, figure out all the feelings that bubble up for you about it, and then bottle it up and throw it into whatever you're manifesting. That same feeling. Flip the doubt, right? So like, if you have a lot of doubt, but you're like, I really hope this works out, flip it. Like, put all your energy into knowing and silence the doubt. Because that's how it works, right? And I heard somewhere, I don't know if it's right. Like I said, I'm not a manifesting guru, I'm a nutritionist. But I heard somewhere along the way that you can only manifest what you truly want, like what you truly desire in your heart. So like if you say on the outside, like, oh, I want to manifest $50,000, but on the inside you're like, I have no idea how the hell I'm gonna do that, right? And like you're doubting yourself, like I really want this, but like doubt. I really want this, doubt. I really want this. Your actual vibration is doubt, right? So it's figuring out how you can shift that. And that's the thing that I've never been able to hear from anybody else. Like I've never heard how do you shift that crap, right? All I've heard was that you have to like really want it and you have to know it and all this kind of stuff. But I never ever heard, and maybe somebody has this. If you have this, share please, because I'm still working this out for myself. But nobody's ever been able to shift that for me. No one's ever been able to tell me how to shift that. And I think how to shift that is to feel it and put those feelings into whatever it is you want to manifest. And then figure out like another, and then two, figure out what worked for you in the past, even if it's something small, even if you like I totally said yesterday afternoon, my husband and I were going to go out to lunch and I couldn't find my black belt, my skinny black belt anywhere. It was driving me nuts. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I really need a black belt. I'm just going to go get one on Amazon or whatever, right? Because I'm an Amazon like freak. But we went to lunch and I go to hang up my jacket after lunch and my belt's like right there. And it's in like the weirdest place that I would never have put it, right? So that's what I'm talking about. Even if it's something super small, reverse engineer and figure out what did you say? Like, how committed were you? And that's when it happens, is when you're like, you know what? I don't care how I'm going to get one. I'm going to get this black belt, right? And then it happened. It just appeared there. So that's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be some sort of like huge thing. It can be something really small that you can, that you've manifested or created or brought about. I don't like the word manifest. I'm really sorry, but I don't like the word manifest. This whole like idea of bringing about though, that you were able to do that because you were super committed to it, right? So you just have to reverse engineer and figure out what that moment was. Like, what was it for you? And then once you do, think about what did you say? What did you think about? Like, think about every little detail. Like, how did you do it? Write it all down if you have to. Figure out how you were able to do it, and then do the same thing again. Because like Tara said, like not all of us are journalers. I mean, I'm a journaler, but I've never been successful at that whole manifestation journaling. But if I thought it, if I daydreamed about it, if I saw it in my dreams, if I, you know, talked through it, like this is going to happen, then it does. Make sense? All right. My rant is over. I hope you guys have a, what's today? Tuesday? What's today? That's really sad. I don't know what the day is, but no, I hope you guys have a great day. If you are, I'm going to hop off in a minute here, but if you guys have any questions, you can ask. I'm just going to sit here and drink coffee for a second. But if you guys have any questions, you can ask. But I think that, what should I think? I think I'm going to try and do this more regularly to get on here in the Manifestation Babes. So if you have any questions or anything that you want me to like address, especially when it comes to like health and healing, let me know, because that's where I'm going to catch you up. All right, Irene. No, go back and watch if you missed it, go back and watch the replay. There's also one from the other day about visualizing, Tara. It's all about how journaling didn't work and how I needed to visualize and what I did to do that. So if that's something that like you dig, you might want to go back. It's in Manifestation Babes. So that means on replay. Yeah, I got you. I'm not that old. No, just kidding. My kids think I'm really old. They think I'm really like dorky and stuff. Okay, so I will let you guys go. Let me know if you guys have any questions. You can always PM me. I'm always available. And tomorrow I was thinking about getting on here and talking about manifesting a healthy body. So yeah, hopefully, let me know. Does that sound interesting to you guys, manifesting a healthy body? I don't know if anybody can comment. Irene, are you saying you're old? But yeah, tomorrow I'm really thinking about doing the whole like healthy body thing. So if that's something that you want to, tune into, let me know. Yes. Okay, great, Sunny. Yeah, I'm going to get on here because you know what? The thing about it is I keep hearing all about how, it's the new year and all that kind of stuff, or New Year's resolutions. Excuse me. New Year's resolutions are coming up, and this is tough, right? We always, and this is the same thing I was talking about, like that gap. So here's like the healthy life that you want for yourself. And then here is living it, being it, doing it, right? And there's that gap. And it's about bridging that gap between the life that you want for yourself and actually being able to create that for yourself, right? And that's where people have the biggest problems, like bridging that gap. So tomorrow I was thinking about coming on here and talking about how we can manifest that, a healthy body, and bridge the gap, right, between creating it and then actually like living it, doing it, being it. Cindy, you're wondering how to talk to your body. Yeah. So this is something that I actually, my program's a little bit different. Like I'm not like your sorry, there's like fuzzballs or orbits, or I mean, whatever those things are called. Anyways, a lot of my practice is talking about self-love, self-acceptance, self-care, and all that kind of stuff. So it's not just like the nutrition side of it. I'm a sciencey person. I've got a degree in dietetics. Like I'm super sciencey. For 10 years, I read scientific literature for a job. Like that was my job in corporate America, right? I did formulations and R&D and stuff, marketing. I created things. But now it's really about taking all of that knowledge and putting it into something that really serves people. And when Cindy talks about, how do you talk to your body? Yeah, that, hey girl, I don't know how to say your name. Is it Shima? I hope I said your name right. Okay, I'm gonna answer your questions in a second here, Jess. So I don't know if you're a Jess, but I'm gonna call you a Jess. Shima, okay. I was hoping I said that right the first time. Sydney, talking to your body is so important. So here's the thing. I call them negative thought gremlins. I don't know what everybody else calls them, but I call them negative thought gremlins. And negative thought gremlins are those that language, right? The things that you say that's not nice to yourself. So whether it's you're not enough, you're never going to be enough, you're never going to do enough, just works, right? And it's this idea that, okay, so when you have negative thoughts, when you have these mean things that you're saying to yourself, like you're fat, you're ugly, you're worthless, like you're never going to be anything, you're never going to, be better than this, like you're never going to be better than that, right? You're always going to feel that way. You're always going to be that way because your words direct where your energy follows. So when you talk about how do you talk to your body? First off, before you do anything, it's not about how you talk to your body. It's stopping and silencing the negative thought gremlins. So if that's something that you are struggling with, because usually if we're struggling with positive self-talk, it's because we have negative thought gremlins swirling in our head, right? So that's the first step, is stopping them, silencing them. And it's just like I said earlier, I don't know if you watched the whole thing, but you can go back and watch the replay. But it's about this idea that we have to silence them. And you literally say, stop, like, stop. And that will stop whatever's going on. And then say what you want, right? And it takes time. It's a spectrum. Like the first time you're not gonna catch yourself until you're a minute into your little rant about yourself, right? And then the second time is about maybe you catch it on the first thing and then you say stop, and that's improvement. But it's really about saying stop, silencing them, and then saying what you want. So it's this whole idea of pivoting. I hope that helps. But yeah, and maybe you write down some things that you want to be able to say to yourself so that you're able to say them, right? Because we don't always know, we don't always have that go-to thing. You have to have intentions. You have to be prepared. If you just have to make them up on the fly, you might not be able to think of anything. So when you're in a good positive state, maybe you come up with some things that you want to be able to tell yourself. Maybe you put them on a little image on your phone. I don't know what you need to do, but either way, silence the negative thought gremlins and then say what you want. So that's the best way to start talking positive to yourself. I mean, I have a lot of things, but that's the one thing that I think you could do today. Jess, can you manifest things for other people? My mother's diabetic and doesn't take care of herself. Um, I don't know. Like I said, like I am not an expert manifester. I don't know if you can manifest for others. I know that you can manifest good. I know you can't like manifest um bad things happening to people. You know what I mean? Like you can't think to yourself, oh, my ex-husband is such a jerk, and it'd be really great if he wasn't in my life. So I'm going to manifest him falling off of a cliff, right? So, like, I know you can't do that because that goes against, well, I say God, other people say universe, but that goes against God, right? Like, that's not good. But I think you know what? Um, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the answer is. Maybe somebody else can help you out. Like, I think that you can be there. Like, is this a generic answer? I think you can be there for her. I think that you can be really supportive of her. I think you can help her. Um, I think you can want things for people. And maybe that is manifesting. Hey, Roxana. So, Jess, I don't really know the answer to that. I don't know if you can do it for your mom. Maybe somebody else can get on here and let you know. Somebody, can you manifest for somebody else? Any experts out there? Wendy, to manifest anything, it has to be a win-win-win for all involved. There you go, Wendy. Okay. So yeah, I think it does have to be for a win-win-win for all involved. Like I was saying, like you can't just say, oh, I really want my ex-husband out of my life, and if he could just fall off a cliff, because that's not exactly a win-win for everyone. I just wish she would listen to her doctors and stick around for a while. You know, it's hard though. So just like this is what I would say. I would say that this is a mindset issue. This is a head and heart work issue. Because here's the thing. Most likely, if your mom has had diabetes for a while and she's been going to the doctors and the doctors have been telling her the same things and she wants to get healthy, but she just doesn't feel like, number one, it's possible. That's the biggest thing is when you have lived it for so long, it almost feels like it will never be possible for you to have done that. Like that's where you're naturally going to go, okay? And especially if you have a really big goal. So if you are really far from your goal, like let's say you have 45 pounds to lose, or if you have your blood, glucose levels are just out, like off the charts high, and you don't think it's ever going to be possible for you to be able to get it down, or you think that the amount of work that it's going to take for you to be able to improve that feels impossible, it's never going to happen, right? So that is actually mindset work. That's head and heart work for your mom so that she can bridge that gap. I don't know if that's necessarily like a manifesting thing that you were needing to do. That's something that she's going to have to look inward, right? And she's going to have to really focus on the head and heart work so that she knows it's possible. So if for, I don't know, as like a daughter, maybe that's like the thing that's coming to me right now. Maybe that's what you do. Maybe your way of being really supportive for her. Sorry, it got really dark outside and like my lights are really bright now. Maybe the way that you can be really supportive for her is really helping her see that she's capable and that it's possible and all that good stuff. Yeah, Cindy's right. So often when you manifest for yourself, the good flows over to those around you because you're high vibe, right? Good. I'm glad that makes sense, Jess. It also needs to be extremely specific so the universe cannot interpret incorrectly. Yes, Wendy. Okay, so here's really, this is a really good example of this. So I was in corporate America for like 10 years, all up until a year ago. And I was really getting burned out, right? Because corporate America can like suck your soul. Sorry if you love corporate America. But it can really suck your soul. And I was making really good money and I had like tons of benefits there. And so I was just sticking it out because it's like, why? It's hard to give all that up, right? But what I was frustrated about is I wasn't having enough time with my kids. I really wanted more time with my kids. I wanted more time with my family. And all I could think of every single day on my way to work and every single way on my way home, I would tell God, I would say, you know what? I want more time with my kids. I want more time with my family. I want to be with my family. I want to be with my family. Like, I don't want to have to be at work all the time. I want to be with my family. You should be very specific. Because what happened was Memorial Weekend 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, I fell off of a pier and ended up in the ER, emergency surgery, and I was home for 8 weeks. recovering. So God, and I literally, I'm like in the ER and I'm like, God gave me exactly what I asked for. God gave me exactly what I manifested, right? He gave me exactly what I wanted. I'm going to have 8 weeks home with my family, but it wasn't in the capacity in which I wanted it, right? It was, right, Shima? It was not what I wanted. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. And it was funny because even in that moment, I'm like standing there getting prepped for emergency surgery. And I knew that I had asked for that in a weird kind of way, right? So yes, you should always be really specific. But at the same time, like if I know some of you guys are like tuning in, are into like the health and wellness stuff. At the same time, it's a very fine line between and this is like totally diverting, right? So if you're looking for manifesting without results, we have totally gone on a tangent. But if that's something that you want to do, it's a fine line between manifesting and being very specific on what you want and not using numbers to derail your progress. So let me tell you what that means. So a lot of times people say, well, I want to manifest a 45-pound weight loss. And I keep saying 45 just because one of my clients this week, she hit her goal and that was 45 pounds, okay? So I was just, that's in my mind. So 45 pounds. So a lot of people say like, I want to lose that specific number, right? But like I was telling Jessica earlier, sometimes if we know that we have a very large journey ahead, right? We know that we have 45 pounds to lose. That's a lot of weight to lose. And it feels impossible sometimes, right? It feels like, I don't know if I'm ready to take on that much effort to get to where I want to be. Yeah, and muscle weighs more than fat. Forget the numbers. Yes. So that's where I'm going, Ariel. So I actually had a rant on this on my in my group about had a video rant about numbers. I don't like numbers. And the reason I don't like numbers in the weight loss and the health journey space is because it feels daunting. It feels hard. It feels impossible. And when you look at a number and you think, oh my God, I have 45 pounds to lose. How the hell am I ever going to do this? You're going to be like, okay, I'm going to do this. And you'll do it for like a week. And then you're like, this is too hard. This is too much. Like I still have, 43 pounds to lose. Like I can't do this, right? And you derail all your progress and you quit. At least that's what I see in my practice. So it's a really fine line. If you want to, it's very good to be specific. I just recommend not being specific with an actual number in mind because Ariel is right. There's also this component of the fact that like you can have two bodies. They're, let's say you have I have a twin sister. So let's just use that example. Like both of us can be the same weight, right? We're both 5'1". We're both the same weight. If I am the same weight, but I started lifting, like doing a lot of weight training and I eat really, really healthy, 108 pounds can look completely different on my sister who doesn't do anything, right? Who loves Taco Bell and is a little softer, right? No coincidence that you're seeing this right now, Tabby? Good, I'm glad this is serving you because we totally got off on a tangent and this is not what I intended to talk about in the beginning. So if you want to go watch about manifesting without results, go to the beginning or watch the replay. But yes, so this is completely different than the whole, like the number thing is completely different when you're talking in terms of manifesting a healthier body. It's a good tangent. Thanks, Shima. So this is actually what I was going to talk about tomorrow. So I'll have to figure out something else to come on and talk about because I was going to talk about how you manifest your healthy body. And it's not about the numbers, but it's true. So it's a different take. I have got a business coach and she's always talking about how like you need to have goals, you need to have numbers and all this. And I'm like, I don't do numbers. And it probably does hurt me in the whole entrepreneurship kind of thing, the whole business side of it. But it works. And this is what I told her and she's just like, oh my God, Sarah. But it works for a health journey because numbers don't matter. Like you can stand on a scale and you can be 125 pounds. And if you haven't done the head and the heart work, you can be absolutely miserable and be 125 pounds. So what does 125 pounds mean? Absolutely nothing. You have a body that like is killer, but you don't feel good about it at all, and you're in the same exact space that you were before, and you're still holding yourself back from doing all the things that you love because you don't feel confident in yourself. That's not happening. I didn't mean to take you to, oh, you didn't mean to take me on my tangent? Yes, numbers are good for your clients, cash, teammates, not your body. Yeah. Cindy, tomorrow's topic. Yeah. So tomorrow, I don't know what we'll talk about, something else, manifesting a body. There's all kinds of things I can talk about manifesting a healthy body, so don't worry, I'll come up with something else. But this is totally, it's totally different, because if you're 125 pounds and you're super excited, and you've done the head and the heart work throughout your journey, and you step on that scale, it feels amazing, right? And it's the same body. It's just whether or not you have the negative thought gremlin swirling in your head or not. So yeah, be really specific with what you want when you're manifesting a healthy body, but don't apply a number to it, because if you apply a number to it, God will give it to you, and you may not want that number with like the strings attached. It's just like my story. I told God, I want a healthy, I want more time with my family. I want more time with my family. He goes, boom, here, you get 8 weeks handed to you. I'm like, yeah, but I'm sitting on the couch, on Vicodin. Like, that's not what I wanted, right? But I wasn't specific enough. So that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. It's really figuring out what you want, but being specific in other ways. So like when I talk about manifesting a healthy body, I'm talking about like usually like non-scale victories, right? I want to feel comfortable in my clothes. I want to be able to put those jeans on that I haven't been able to wear in 3 years, that are sitting in the back of the closet, that are super cute, or whatever it is, right? It's those kind of things that you want to manifest for yourself. And it's all about, so if journaling doesn't work for you, that's fine, but it's all about writing all that down and then figuring out how you can visualize that, right? So if you're a visualizer and not a journaler, if you figure that part out, and if you're confused, go back to watch the replays at the beginning. But if you realize that you're not a journaler, and that it's just not clicking and the whole manifesting thing's not working for you, go ahead and write down the things you want, and then you have, it's kind of like brainstorming, right? From like elementary school writing, but brainstorm and then figure out what you want, and then start working that into your visualizations. And these visualizations, it sounds like a really big confusing word, but all it is thinking about the life that you want, right? It's already thinking about the body that you want. Yes, write it. Yeah, write it. But some people can't just write it. I think that's the catch. It's like some people can't just write it, because I tried just writing it and it didn't work for me. For me, and when I reverse engineered how I've always been able to manifest things, it's really about thinking about it, right? Over and over, like a broken record in my head. Like and to me, for me, because I am more of a type 4 energy, it's all consuming. Okay, so when I think about it, it literally consumes me. No, to figure out the specifics. Yes. Yeah, Wendy. Yeah, to figure out the specifics, you have to really think about it, and like you can't. I mean, I guess you could think about it, but I like writing down the specifics part and then turning that into a visualization where you can actually think about it and let it become all consuming until all of a sudden you wake up one morning and like, wow, like I'm living this, right? Because that's the goal. The goal is to live the life that you want to live. The goal is to do all of those things that you've been holding yourself back from because you just don't have a body that's physically capable, or you don't have the confidence to allow your physically capable body of doing whatever it is the hell you want to do, right? So that's the goal. Yeah. I'm so glad I got on here, guys. I was just going to do a short, like, I literally thought, I'm just going to do a short, like, 10-minute video on this manifesting without results stuff. Then you plant your feet on the floor, feel the earth, fill the words loudly with power through. Yes. Yeah. You know, and some people feel like it's like I think you also have to honor who you are, honor your authentic self, honor, you know, the way you show up in the world. So if like you're really connected to the earth, walking outside barefoot, feeling the grass in between your toes, watching the trees, watching each little leaf, you know, kind of what is it? Like not blow in the wind, but you know what I mean? Kind of like flutter in the wind, or whatever it is. Like for me, I live in Texas, but I grew up going to Colorado a lot because my family's from there, and we still go. My little family, the family that I created for myself, we still go to Colorado a lot, and I love the aspen trees because it almost looks like glitter when the leaves shake in the wind, right? So it's if you're one of those people that's really connected to the earth and really connected to nature, then you need to do this in nature. Like you have to do this for you. You have to find your way of doing this. Visualization really works. I visualize the scale at the weight I want to be, and every time I do that, I realize I get closer to that number. Yeah, and sometimes it works for you guys, like visualizing like a number. My experience with that though is that sometimes you can get down to that number and you don't feel fulfilled and you don't feel satisfied because you didn't do the head and the heart work to go into that number. Does that make sense, Shima? So that's my only thing is, yes, does it work for some people? Absolutely. But my only concern is if you don't couple that with the head and the heart work, then you may stand on that scale and you have that number, but it's not enough. And I'll tell you why, because this was my experience. So just to give you a little background on my story, I struggled with my weight from the time I was about third grade-ish all the way into my early 20s. And then in my early 20s, I decided that I was going to quit dieting. I just didn't want to do that whole yo-yo dieting anymore. I just kept gaining more weight and losing weight and gaining weight. And I had enough. I got fed up. And then I decided I was going to heal my body because I had a lot of issues. I had IBS, I had asthma, I had all these health issues at the age of 20. Two-ish, and I couldn't do it anymore, right? So I decided that I was going to skip the whole weight loss thing. I was going to quit dieting. I was just going to like work on healing my body. And what I found was that I started losing the weight like naturally, easily. Like it just started kind of coming off because I was basically what I was doing, and I didn't know it at the time. I was healing my gut and I was reducing inflammation in my body, right? So that's what happened. And I got to this end all be all. Oh, you're a global heart healer? That's exciting, Wendy. I want to know more about that. So I got to the end all be all, right? I was a size 0, and in a weight loss journey, like you can't get any lower than that, right? And I stepped on that scale and I put on those size 0 jeans, and I was still miserable because I didn't do the head and the heart work. So that's why, okay, will do, Wendy. That's why I think it's so important that we don't attach anything and we don't manifest a certain number, because you can manifest that number just like I did. I manifested this time home with my kids. Shima, are you asking like what Wendy does or what I do? I'm a holistic nutritionist, if anybody's wondering. That's why I think it's funny, because I get on here because I do work manifesting. I kind of like weave it into my my programs. So I'm not an expert manifester by any means. I'm not a business coach. I'm a holistic nutritionist, and so that's why I focus on the weight and the health space and all that kind of stuff. But if you're asking me what Wendy does, I'm curious too. Oh, you joined late, yeah. So you may want to watch the replay, because in the beginning I talked about the subject that was at hand, but then I got so off topic, and that's fine. It's kind of fun doing it that way. But yeah, so that's why I think it's so important that, yes, when you're manifesting, absolutely put goals on there, put things that you want, but really make sure that you're putting the things that you really want, right? So maybe it's not just the actual goals, like I want to fit into my size 6 jeans again, right? Maybe it's not that, but maybe it's also what you want to be able to do when you are a healthy size. So like a lot of times, we don't travel. If you have to worry about whether or not you're going to have a seat extension, or people looking at you, or people giving you dirty looks, or not being able to do all the fun things you want to do. Like if you go to the mountains, you're not able to zip line because you've exceeded the weight, or you're afraid that people are going to have to adjust the harness and it's going to be awkward because you're bigger, or whatever it is that you think, because all of those thoughts were in my head at one point, right? Then just the number isn't enough. That's not giving God what you need, right? Or what he needs to give you what you want, right? So you need more than that. And that is all about coming down to what do you really want to be able to do in life? So manifesting a healthy body and a healthy life is bigger than just ooh, I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to lose 40 pounds. It's so much bigger than that. And I think that's the difference. in like what I do versus like, well, a lot of nutritionists don't do manifesting at all. What I look at versus, you know, what I think manifestors look at, right? Because manifestors are like, all you have to do is like put what you want on a piece of paper and then you get it. And I think that that's, I don't know, I've never been successful like that. Maybe you guys have. I just haven't. So anyways, well, I've got to get off, guys, because I've got a call that I have to get ready for. But if you're interested in more information about like what I do in the manifesting and the health stuff, you can always PM me. I'm always available. I do like chats if you want. So if you want to chat, I do them via Zoom, so we can do that too. But that is it. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. This was fun. I really appreciated it. Thanks, Wendy. Have a great day, guys.